In today's lender review video, we're covering a mortgage lender that isn't commonly associated with lending to people who have bad credit. But with their Cascade range, we have seen some quite amazing results. So let's go ahead and jump into Accord Mortgage's Cascade mortgage range. Before we jump into this, if you're wondering who I am, my name's Josh Tomlinson. I am the managing director of My Mortgage Finder. We employ a team of over 30 people and we do around £100 million worth of bad credit mortgages every single year. But before we jump straight in, let's go ahead and ask ChatGPT who Accord Mortgages are, like we normally do. Accord Mortgages is a specialist intermediary only mortgage lender and part of the Yorkshire Building Society, one of the UK's largest mutual building societies. So I would completely agree with that. Accord Mortgages, they're a very well-known and very well-renowned mortgage lender. Now, just to clarify, if you don't know what mortgage intermediary means, that basically just means a mortgage broker. And what ChatGPT is saying there is you can only access Accord Mortgages if you use a registered mortgage broker. Okay, so into Accord Mortgages Cascade range. Here's a screen grab that I took from their website earlier to try and summarize exactly what this is. So at the top you can see here it says Cascade score. I'll talk you through this and we can have a quick chat about what it's actually getting at. Even more common sense lending for your clients who need a higher loan to value. Clearly you can see this is marketed at mortgage brokers because you have to use a mortgage broker. Who's it for? Residential clients who are new to Accord. So if you're a new customer to Accord, looking to buy a home or remortgage a home, applying for over 85% loan to value and up to 95% loan to value. Just to be clear, 95% loan to value, that means you're borrowing 95% of what the property is worth. So you'd be putting down a 5% deposit. 85% loan to value, you'd be putting down a 15% deposit. It's also for people who are buying a new build property with up to 90% loan to value on flats and houses. So what that's saying is if you're buying a new build property, either a new build flat or a new build house, the maximum loan to value you can go up to is 90%, so that would be a 10% deposit. And then here it says, how does the Cascade score work? The good news is for you, it's effortless. You don't need to change anything. So it's saying us, the mortgage broker, we don't need to do anything different. Apply for the agreement in principle as usual. If your customer doesn't meet our higher loan to value scorecard, but does meet our standard scorecard, MSO, this is the system that Accord use, will automatically cascade the application. You'll get a message confirming you can consider our Cascade score product range for your clients. So basically, what this is saying to us, the mortgage broker, is apply as usual, and it will tell us if your customer, for example you, don't meet the required score for the standard range that Accord offer. But you might meet their Cascade score, which would mean that you're probably just going to pay a slightly higher interest rate because you don't qualify for their Premier range. And it says here, remember, your client will need to pass our affordability checks and our usual lending criteria applies. That's exactly the same as normal. So basically what it's saying here, everything the same applies. If they don't meet the required score, they're just going to be considered on a different product range. And it says here, Cascade scored products. If you'd like to check the products available for Cascade scored clients, products that are available for Cascade score clients are clearly named. We're going to come on to that shortly. So just a couple of things to point out here and discuss about the Cascade range that we've covered here. So just to clarify exactly what we've said here, we're going to apply for everything exactly the same as we would on Accord Mortgage's normal range, but it's just if you don't meet their minimum scorecard, which is when your application is assessed, it will be given a score. This is not something that we're made party to, but it will be given a score. The higher the score, the better. If it has a high enough score, you'll be considered on their normal range. But if you still meet a certain score, which would be a little bit lower, you might be considered on their Cascade range, which would mean that you could be offered the rates that we're going to cover shortly. And the typical types of customers that we see who can be accepted on this type of range, although there's no black and white policy to say this is accepted, this isn't accepted. It will come down to this scorecard thing that we talk about. Some of the more common things that we do see accepted might be if you maybe had a small default a few years ago, or a couple of small defaults a few years ago, or a small CCJ a few years ago. And it also might be just a few missed or late payments here or there. And the key thing is here though, the further along ago that it happened, the more likely you are to get it accepted. So they're the common types of things that we see here. A little bit of bad credit 2 or 3 years ago, a good chance of getting passed on this Cascade range. So now that you know a little bit more about what the Cascade range is, let's go ahead and take a quick look at some of the products that they have to offer. So I just simply pulled this from Accord Mortgage's website earlier on today, and you can see here all of the products on here are quite clearly labelled Cascade score. So you haven't met the minimum score for the normal range or the Premier range. These have been designed for the Cascade score. Now, they have a range of 2-year fixeds and 5-year fixeds. They also have some variable rates, and they have lots of different options, whether you're putting down a 5% deposit or a 10% deposit or a 15% deposit. But what I've just highlighted here to show you for ease is between putting down a 10% deposit and a 5% deposit. So that would be labelled as 90% loan to value to 95% loan to value on the screen. And the ones that I'm showing you here, these are just 2-year fixed products. And if you have a look at the screen here, you can see if you're putting down a 10% deposit, so 90% loan to value, the rates here on a 2-year fixed, this is at the time of making the video, please just bear that in mind, 4.6% is where the rates start on a 2-year fixed, putting down 10% deposit, and then they go up to 4.95%, that's on a 2-year fixed, putting down a 10% deposit. And you know, you can see here, like I normally mention, the difference in the interest rate will be reflected in the product fee that you may or may not have to pay. Obviously, you can see here there are product fees on the ones with the lower interest rate, and there are not product fees on, you know, here, clear example, 4.95%, 0 product fee, 90% loan to value. So if you're wondering, well, how do I know which one's better? The one with the lower interest rate or the one without the product fee? That's going to be hard for you to work out, and that's something that a good mortgage advisor will be able to tell you. So that's something you should get advice on. You can actually, you'll see here, which is great, you can actually qualify for this product even with a 5% deposit, which is quite rare. If you have a little bit of adverse credit, you'll see here that the rates start at 5.4% on a 2-year fixed, and they go up to 5.75%. Again, you'll see different product fees that are attached there as well. So yeah, that's the Cascade range. You can just finally see as well, you do get some incentives on them. Some of them have cash back, some of them come with a free valuation, some come with a free legal service. That's only if you're remortgaging as well. So there you have it. That's Accord Mortgage's Cascade range. Now, like anything, this isn't going to be a perfect fit for absolutely everyone, but if you maybe have had a few blips on your credit report 2 or 3 years ago, particularly small value defaults, county court judgments, that type of thing, and you have at least a 5% deposit, then this is well worth taking a look at, because as I'm sure you'd agree, I personally think my belief is to have some really well-valued products for the right customers there as well. Now, like always, if you do have any questions or any ideas for future videos, please feel free to pop those in the comments below. Alternatively, you can send us an email, and the email is in the description. Thanks for watching. Please make sure that you hit the subscribe button and turn on the notifications for more tips on bad credit and all things bad credit mortgage related, and we will see you in the next video.